Recruitment Audiobook. Chapter 1. Introduction to the Panel. Welcome to Talent in Quantum, Recruiting for the Future of Deep Tech. This audiobook distills insights from a remarkable panel discussion featuring three leading recruiters shaping the future of quantum and AI talent: John Barnes, Charlie George, and Amir Rasool. Let's begin with some context. Quantum computing is no longer confined to university labs and theoretical models. It is entering a commercial phase where startups are scaling, governments are investing billions, and enterprise demand is escalating. This transformation is fueling a critical need for talent. Yet, unlike other tech sectors, quantum demands a unique blend of academic depth, engineering precision, and business pragmatism. And that makes recruiting talent more complex and more important than ever before. In this audiobook, we follow the voices of three seasoned experts who have spent decades navigating the complexities of talent acquisition in emerging tech sectors. John Barnes, a pioneer in ethical quantum recruitment; Charlie George, who has built teams across cybersecurity, finance, and now quantum; and Amir Rasool, founder of QAI Talent and host of the Beyond the Bit podcast, known for mentoring the next generation of quantum professionals. Together, they uncover the challenges, solutions, and strategies that define hiring in quantum technology. Whether you are a startup founder, investor, hiring manager, or aspiring quantum engineer, this series is designed to help you understand the real talent dynamics shaping one of the world's most important industries. Let's dive in. Chapter 2. Challenges in Sourcing Quantum Talent. Finding talent in quantum computing and quantum AI is not a sourcing problem, it's an attraction problem. In today's interconnected world, candidates are visible through LinkedIn, conferences, academic papers, GitHub, and beyond. But visibility does not equal availability. John Barnes explains that the quantum ecosystem includes everyone from early-stage PhD students to senior postdocs, to engineers in photonics and cryogenics, to commercial leads in finance, aerospace, and AI. The range is massive, and so are the needs. The key challenge is that these people have options. Great candidates are hearing from 5, 10, sometimes 20 companies. Charlie George points out that the noise in recruitment is deafening. Even the best candidates are inundated with messages daily. The question is not just why they should join your company, but why they should even read your email. That brings us to employer branding. In quantum, brand is not just about funding. It's about mission, culture, purpose, and trajectory. What are you building? What role will the candidate play? Will they grow with the company or burn out from unclear expectations? Amir Rasool introduces the concept of preemptive recruitment. A good recruiter doesn't wait for the role to open. They build relationships ahead of time. They learn what motivates each individual: career development, research opportunities, global mobility, or impact. He compares sourcing to gardening, not hunting. It takes time. You prepare the ground, sow the seeds, and nurture growth. Finally, attraction is deeply tied to alignment. It's not just about salary or stock options. It's about resonance, how a candidate's goals match the company's vision. And when that happens, recruitment is not just filling a role, it's unlocking potential. Chapter 3. The Evolution of Recruitment. Recruitment today is undergoing a seismic shift, from intuition to data, from handshake deals to global talent pipelines, from gut feelings to guided algorithms. Charlie George reflects on his early days in recruitment, where networks were built face-to-face, and success came from knowing the right people. Today, data rules. But with data comes noise, and noise demands discernment. LinkedIn now acts as a quasi-directory of the global workforce. Talent search platforms give everyone access to the same pool. So where's the edge? It's in how you engage. Charlie emphasizes the shift from finding candidates to attracting them, and from selling roles to building relationships. John Barnes adds that recruiters must become storytellers. A job spec is not enough. You must tell a career story. Why this company? Why now? And why you? Recruiters are also analysts. They must assess gaps in talent supply, identify skill adjacencies, and spot emerging job categories, like quantum software integration specialists or quantum algorithm on cloud engineers. These roles didn't exist 5 years ago. Today, they're in demand. Amir highlights another key evolution: candidate expectations. Top talent expects flexibility, autonomy, mission alignment, and transparency. They want to know what success looks like in 30, 60, and 90 days. They want meaningful work, not just a job title. He also notes the rise of AI-driven search tools. Some firms are using agents to crawl hundreds of candidate profiles and auto-rank them based on complex criteria. But even with the best tech, it's the human insight that makes the difference. Who's the right fit? Who will thrive in your team's culture? Who will stay? So, what does modern recruitment in quantum require? It requires planning. It requires empathy. It requires alignment with business strategy. And above all, it requires a mindset shift from reactive hiring to proactive talent building. Chapter 4: Communicating Employer Value. In a noisy world where top candidates receive multiple offers, your message must stand out, not just in content, but in clarity and authenticity. John Barnes opens the conversation on employer value with a simple truth. A job description is not a story. It's a list. If you want candidates to engage, you must convey purpose. What does your organization stand for? What are you building that matters to the world? Why does the work you do need them to succeed? Charlie George adds that many companies underestimate the power of their mission. Even a two-person startup with the right vision can outperform a tech giant when it comes to winning hearts. The difference is communication. So how do companies articulate value? First, define your voice. Is your brand formal, innovative, inclusive? Second, showcase your culture. How do people interact? What are your rituals, values, behaviors? Third, offer clarity on growth. What will this role become in 1 year? 3. Amir points out that in quantum, many candidates are driven not just by compensation, but by impact. They want to know their work contributes to something meaningful, be it climate modeling, cryptographic security, or life sciences. When companies take time to align recruiters with their messaging, the result is trust. Recruiters become brand ambassadors, echoing your values with every call and email. But when that clarity is missing, recruitment suffers. Misalignment causes false starts, poor fit hires, and early attrition. So if you're serious about hiring, be serious about your message. Communicate not just what the job is, but what it means. Chapter 5: Technical versus transferable skills. In the fast-moving world of quantum technology, the roles are diverse and the skills required span a spectrum from PhD-level theoretical physics to systems integration, software engineering, and commercial management. But here's the challenge. The pace of the industry's growth is far outstripping the rate at which universities and institutions can produce narrowly trained experts. So how do you build a workforce when the ideal candidates don't yet exist in sufficient numbers? Amir Razul opens the discussion by clarifying an important point. Recruiters are not physicists. They are not there to make fine-grained technical judgments. But what they can do is understand what a company needs at a functional level, and where those needs can be met by someone from an adjacent field. For instance, someone from a background in classical AI, high-performance computing, or cryptography may not have studied quantum mechanics, but they may have the right mindset, experience with similar data problems, and the ability to upskill rapidly. John Barnes emphasizes that while academic pedigree still plays a major role, especially in algorithm design and fundamental quantum research, it's often commercial experience and teamwork skills that determine success in startup environments. Charlie George expands on this by saying recruiters work best when hiring managers are honest about what truly matters. Is it the ability to publish papers, or to collaborate, ship code, and hit milestones? Each of those goals may require different profiles. The panel agrees on one thing: Potential matters as much as credentials. Recruiters screen candidates for mindset, adaptability, clarity of thought, and their ability to function in diverse teams. Interviews become less about solving theoretical problems and more about evaluating how candidates think, learn, and communicate. Amir shares a technique, working with clients to develop technical pre-screens tailored to the company's culture. Not everyone passes, but those who do are often strong team fits, even if they lack traditional quantum labels. This approach shifts the hiring conversation from, do they have a PhD in quantum physics, to, can they contribute meaningfully to this project within 3 months and grow beyond it within 12? Hiring in quantum is not about compromising standards, it's about redefining them around outcomes, not orthodoxy. Chapter 6. The Myth of Job Titles. Job titles are simultaneously useful and misleading. In quantum, where many roles are newly invented or constantly evolving, this contradiction becomes especially clear. John Barnes puts it plainly, job titles often mean nothing. It's the function that matters. A quantum engineer at one company could be working on superconducting chips, at another, building APIs for quantum software. Charlie George expands on the inconsistency. Titles like AI researcher, quantum algorithm designer, or quantum systems developer might attract attention on job boards, but unless the role's responsibilities are clearly defined, candidates can become confused or even discouraged. Titles matter for search engine optimization, especially in recruitment platforms and LinkedIn posts. But once someone is in the door, the title should serve the role, not the other way around. So how should companies navigate this? The panel suggests breaking the job down by outcomes. Ask, what does this person need to accomplish in 30, 60, and 90 days? What are their metrics of success? Who do they collaborate with? What tools or frameworks do they use? That's where a recruiter's insight becomes essential. Rather than taking a job title at face value, a good recruiter will dig deeper, challenging clients to define what the role really is and what it isn't. Amir notes that some companies, particularly those coming from academic origins, tend to overload job specs with impossible checklists. Must have a PhD, 10 years of C++, optics experience, business skills, and public speaking. In reality, no one has all those attributes, and if they do, they're probably a founder themselves. To avoid mismatches, job specs should focus on a few must-haves and a broader set of nice-to-haves. And finally, think about how job titles reflect team structure. If someone is called senior but works in a flat hierarchy, what does senior mean? If a lead engineer doesn't manage anyone, are expectations being misaligned? John advises leaders to see job titles as signals, not definitions. They should help attract the right interest, but it's the recruiter's job to translate that signal into substance. Chapter 7. Building complementary teams. In quantum technology, no single person can do it all. The field is too complex, too multidisciplinary. Success comes not from hiring superstars, but from constructing teams with complementary strengths. John Barnes introduces the concept of vertical and horizontal thinkers. Vertical thinkers are deep specialists, experts in photonics, quantum optics, cryogenics, or theoretical physics. Horizontal thinkers, meanwhile, bring breadth. They are system integrators, communicators, program managers, people who connect the dots. Both types are needed, and in early-stage quantum startups, where teams are small and roles fluid, the mix must be deliberate. Charlie George describes it like building a bridge. You need people who lay the foundations, deep technical experts, but you also need people who span gaps, who unify disciplines, and who help translate between quantum and classical systems, between research and business. Amir explains how recruiters assess team composition. They look beyond headcount. They ask, where are the gaps? Is this team too homogeneous? Are we missing commercial acumen, or are we top-heavy with academics? He offers an example. A startup building a quantum key distribution QKD system hired 4 PhDs from the same university. Smart, capable, driven. But they struggled to hit product deadlines. The reason? They had no one with experience turning research into product, managing customer expectations, or building reproducible systems. Once the company added a systems engineer from a telecom background and a product manager from classical cryptography, everything accelerated. Complementarity, not similarity, made the difference. John emphasizes that diversity of thought, experience, and background is a performance driver. Teams with cognitive variety make better decisions. They challenge assumptions. They innovate. But it's not just about checking boxes. It's about mindset. Are people curious, collaborative, resilient? Recruiters can help clients answer these questions. They serve as advisors, not just talent suppliers. By analyzing team structure, they help build units that are more than the sum of their parts. So when hiring, think beyond resumes. Ask, who do we need to balance this team? Who will amplify the talents of others? Chapter 8. Global talent pools and mobility. Quantum is a global field, not a local one. There is no single hub, no quantum valley that dominates the sector the way Silicon Valley once did for classical computing. Instead, talent is dispersed across continents: North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and beyond. And yet many companies still focus narrowly on domestic recruitment. John Barnes challenges this mindset head-on. He argues that the best people for your team might not live within a 100-mile radius of your office. They might not even live on the same continent. If you're not willing to look globally, you're likely missing your future CTO, your lead engineer, your breakthrough researcher. Charlie George expands on this with examples of companies that have embraced distributed teams. One company headquartered in the UK now has key quantum development roles in Poland, South Africa, and Vietnam. Not because it was cheaper, but because that's where the best fit talent was. He points out that visa planning, relocation budgets, and international hiring policy should be part of strategic planning, not last-minute panic. Great candidates often lose interest if the process is slow, opaque, or overly bureaucratic. Amir Razul adds a different dimension: access. Many gifted researchers and engineers in developing countries don't always have the same visibility. They may not attend the same conferences or publish in the same journals, but they are every bit as talented and sometimes even more adaptable because they've had to learn across systems, technologies, and resource constraints. He urges recruiters and companies to partner with international academic institutions, local hubs, and even online communities to expand their reach. The panel discusses the logistical considerations of global hiring. Are you set up to support remote work across time zones? Can you onboard, train, and manage across cultures? Do you offer relocation or visa sponsorships for critical roles? But they're also clear. The benefits far outweigh the challenges. A globally diverse team brings resilience, broader problem-solving perspectives, and stronger innovation capacity. Charlie makes a key observation. Some of the most overlooked regions are those with strong STEM education systems, but weak local tech ecosystems: Eastern Europe, North Africa, Southeast Asia. Talent in these regions is often hungry, loyal, and mission-driven. So what's the takeaway? Don't let geography limit your growth. In quantum, where the talent shortage is real and the stakes are high, global thinking isn't optional, it's essential. Chapter 9. Retention Strategies. Attracting great people is hard. Keeping them, even harder. In high-growth sectors like quantum, where roles are demanding and the environment constantly evolving, retention depends on more than just competitive salaries or fancy job titles. It comes down to meaning, belonging, and personal growth. Amir Razul emphasizes that the candidates who succeed in quantum roles often do so because they feel a connection to the mission. If that sense of purpose fades, or if career progression is unclear, they will move on. Retention begins with hiring. John Barnes notes that misalignment between a candidate's expectations and the company's realities is a major cause of early attrition. Recruiters play a critical role in setting realistic, inspiring, and honest expectations from the start. Once on board, employees want to feel supported. Charlie George describes the importance of career pathing. This doesn't always mean promotions. It can mean deepening expertise, rotating into adjacent functions, or contributing to strategic planning. The panel outlines several key retention strategies. 1. Continuous feedback. 2. Recognition. 3. Mentorship. 4. Purpose alignment. John points out that mental health and burnout are real issues in high-performance environments, especially when working on abstract, long-horizon technologies like quantum computing. It's easy to lose the thread of daily impact. He suggests creating cross-functional teams to maintain perspective, where engineers see how their work ties to user outcomes, and commercial staff understand the complexity behind R&D milestones. Finally, Amir emphasizes exit interviews, not as a formality, but as a strategy tool. When someone leaves, ask, what didn't we see? What could we improve? Where did we fall short in supporting your journey? Retention isn't about clinging to talent. It's about creating a place where talent wants to stay. Chapter 10. Executive Talent and C-Suite Hiring. Hiring executives is not just about filling a role. It's about choosing who will set your company's tone, shape your culture, and guide your most strategic decisions. In quantum, this is especially delicate. Many startups are led by scientists or technologists who've taken their innovation from lab to prototype. But scaling a company requires different skills: commercial, operational, and organizational. John Barnes explains the common trap: founders waiting too long to bring in outside leadership. They worry about losing control or diluting the mission. But the right executive doesn't replace the founder, they amplify them. He shares a real-world example. A quantum software startup hesitated to hire a COO with no direct quantum experience. But the candidate had built and sold 3 AI companies and had deep relationships in enterprise SaaS. Within a year, the company's revenue doubled, and the founder could return to deep R&D. Charlie George underscores the importance of role clarity. What do you want your C-suite hire to own? Revenue growth? Partnerships? Team scale-up? Strategic focus? Amir adds that executive hiring is less about technical skills and more about leadership DNA. Do they coach well? Do they build culture? Do they attract and retain top performers? The panel outlines success factors for hiring at the top: alignment with vision, track record, cultural fit, flexibility. John closes the chapter with a powerful point. In quantum, many of the industry's greatest leaders won't come from quantum. They'll come from finance, telecoms, AI, or enterprise software, but they'll bring systems thinking, execution rigor, and the ability to scale complexity. Founders must be open to that. Hiring your first executive is not an admission of weakness. It's a signal of intent that you're ready to build something bigger than yourself. Chapter 11. Scaling teams without breaking culture. Scaling is the dream and the danger of every fast-growing startup. In quantum, scaling presents unique challenges: technical, strategic, and deeply human. Charlie George kicks off this chapter with a cautionary tale. A quantum startup raised a major Series A round and immediately went on a hiring spree. Within months, headcount doubled, but team cohesion collapsed. Onboarding was rushed, job roles blurred, internal conflict rose, productivity dropped. What went wrong? Simple: they hired before they were ready. John Barnes explains that hiring too quickly, or without a clear plan, can destabilize even the most promising startups. Culture is not what you put in a slide deck. It's how people work together when no one is watching, and culture scales poorly without guidance. Amir Razul adds that scaling should be intentional. Before hiring, ask, Do we have the infrastructure for growth? Do we have onboarding processes, mentorship programs, performance frameworks? He outlines a 5-part framework for scale-ready hiring. 1. Role clarity. Define what success looks like for each hire. 2. Onboarding. Build a 30, 60, 90-day plan. 3. Cultural rituals. Create consistent practices that embody your values. 4th, management training. Ensure team leads are equipped to lead. 5. Feedback loops. Build in systems to learn from every hire. Charlie emphasizes the importance of phasing your hires. Don't just grow in bulk, grow in waves. Build a hiring roadmap aligned to product and market milestones. That way, hiring serves your strategy, not the other way around. The panel also warns against over-indexing on pedigree. When companies are flush with funding, they often aim to recruit big names from academia or big tech. But if those hires don't adapt to startup pace and ambiguity, they can become expensive misfits. Instead, John advises hiring scalers, people who've seen complexity, manage transitions, and thrive in growth phases. These people are often not flashy, but they're essential. Finally, Amir shares a reminder: scaling is not just about headcount, it's about building capability. A small, well-integrated team can outperform a large, disjointed one. The goal isn't size, it's impact. Chapter 12. Final Reflections and Looking Forward. As we close this audiobook, one truth becomes clear. People are the greatest lever in quantum. Technology will evolve. Hardware platforms will mature. Standards will emerge. But it's the people, their creativity, their resilience, their belief, that will define how far and how fast this field can go. John Barnes offers a final thought. Recruitment is not a side function, it's a strategic pillar. Founders who treat it with respect will build stronger, faster, more sustainable companies. Charlie George reminds us that the quantum talent journey is only beginning. Universities are evolving, boot camps are emerging, career paths are forming. But we must build those paths intentionally, with diversity and inclusion at the centre. Amir Razul leaves us with this challenge: think long-term. Hire not just for today's task, but for tomorrow's leadership. Invest in people who will outgrow their roles, elevate their teams, and drive the mission forward. If you're a founder, share your story boldly. If you're a recruiter, become a translator, not just a gatekeeper. If you're a candidate, don't wait for perfect conditions. Lean into growth. Quantum is not easy, but it is full of promise, and the people who build it will shape a future that none of us can yet fully imagine. Thank you for joining us on this journey through talent in quantum, recruiting for the future of deep tech. We hope this has sparked ideas, deepened your strategy, and most importantly, inspired action. Your next hire could change everything. Our key takeaways. Quantum recruiting is about alignment, not just qualifications. Companies that lead with clarity, mission, and culture attract and retain top-tier talent. Founders must treat recruitment as a core function, not an afterthought. The right hire can multiply impact. The wrong one can stall progress. Look globally, act intentionally. The best people may be outside your local talent. Pool and inclusion drives innovation. Retention is not about perks. It's about purpose, growth, and human connection. Executives don't need quantum PhDs. They need leadership DNA. Think. Scalers, not just specialists. Culture doesn't scale on its own. Plan for it. Design for it. Protect it. Quantum is a team sport. Build yours wisely. Thank you for listening.